Hey guys, so jumping right into the video, we're going to start off by priming our eyelids, of course, and I am using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in the shade Eden. Really love this one, super great. I use it basically every time I use my eyeshadows and probably every time I film a video, I would imagine. And then here I'm just setting it with a translucent powder just so that our eyeshadows don't stick to anything that's still wet. Taking that first shade Caramel from the Latte palette from Dominique Cosmetics, I am just going to be working that all into my upper crease. This will be our uppermost transition shade, so I'm just going to go in and really build up this color. I do take my time in this step. It's honestly probably like the lengthiest part of doing my eyeshadow is just setting down this first shade. It's just because I feel like you want to start off with a good transition just so that all the other colors can blend seamlessly together, or at least as seamlessly as possible. So I'm doing this just with like a fluffy brush. This is, I believe, a Morphe Elite one. I'm not sure the exact name, but just anything that you have that's like a larger fluffy brush would do just fine for this part. So the next shade we're going to go in with is this one called Hazelnut. It's a really pretty reddish brown, warm tone deliciousness color. It's probably my favorite color, or at least my favorite matte color in the palette. It's very pigmented and it just works really well with a bunch of different looks. And I am taking this on a smaller blending crease brush. It's kind of a smaller and more tapered version of that first type of brush that we used. I like using kind of smaller brushes whenever it comes to doing smoky eyes like this. I just find I have more control over where I'm putting the eyeshadows and everything like that. And I'm just taking this by putting it in the outer and inner corner and then blending up towards the center. This method just works best for me and how I like to blend out my eyeshadows. Just so that it doesn't get too heavy right in the middle of the crease, but it kind of gives a nice like little halo effect. And here I'm just taking that first color that we used and taking it on this like really fluffy brush. I like to just go back in and touch up that uppermost crease shade just so that we don't lose that color whenever we're blending. And after I do that, I'll just go in and touch up with that second shade that we used. I do a lot of this just so that, again, we don't lose any color during our blending process. So it's just about adding a little color, blending it out, and then doing that until you're at your desired amount of pigment. So now going in with the shade called Mocha, which is a nice deep chocolate brown. I'm taking that on a really small blending brush and I'm just going to start putting that in the outer portion of our lid. This is just going to be the third matte shade that we're going to use to give our eye a lot of depth and dimension before we go in with those shimmer shades. This one, it's a really similar shade to like probably like Anastasia Cypress Umber, I would say. It's a really similar color to that, and it also works really well, works like just as well as that one. So I'm just going to take that and put it in that like lowest part of the crease before we really hit the center of the lid, just so that again we get this like gradient color explosion effect. I'm only taking like a little bit of product at a time just so that we don't get really muddy, and you'll see in a second that I'll go in and touch up those other shades that we use, the first and second crease color, just so that again we don't lose any of that pigment or blending out that we did previously. So now I'm going in with this NYX glitter glue. I like using glitter glue for like shimmer shades. I've done this before in the past, and I'm just taking it on this flat brush here, and I only take a small amount of product because this is a very tacky glue, and if you put it in an area that you don't want it to, it can just cling on to shadow that you don't want and kind of like ruin the effect. So I take just like a little bit and I work very slowly. So now I'm going to take this shade Espresso on another flat brush, and I'm going to put that mostly in the center part of the lid, going towards the inner corner, but not going all the way. I am going to put a second shimmer color in the inner corner just so that we can brighten up the eyes a little bit. But I am going to take this and just blend it out going towards the lowest part of the crease and also towards that outer corner. Now I'm going to go in with Macchiato, which is has more of like a pinky undertone highlight to it. It's really pretty. Really both the shimmer shades that I'm using are really, really pretty. But anyways, so I'm just going to take this and put that in the inner corner, like I said, just to brighten it up a little bit. So now on this very small little eyeshadow brush, I'm going to go in and touch up that shade Mocha. Since we put down all that shimmer, I wanted to make sure that there was still depth in the eye just because I will bring the eyeshadow like a little bit higher. And then I always just go in and touch it up a little bit. But that's just how I do it. But once I am done doing that, I'll show you a little clip of the finished eyes without eyelashes or anything like that. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And now we will just go ahead and move on to the face. For my face primers, I'm going to go in with the Bare Minerals Combo Control and then the Cover FX Blurring Primer. I like to put just these in the T-zone because that's really just where I need a lot of attention for whenever I prep the face. So the Bare Minerals one is really great to control oils, and then I like the Cover FX one to kind of fill in and blur out my pores. It's really similar to like the Professional and the Dr. Brandt's Pores No More, so if you like those, you'd probably like this Cover FX one as well. Then for the rest of my face, I'm going to go in with the Mario Badescu facial spray with the green tea and aloe and cucumber. This one is really great for if you have combo to oily skin, just because it'll kind of hydrate but mattify, give you like the good hydration without making you too dewy. Then for foundation, I'm going to use this Catrice HD Coverage Foundation. This was the first time trying it, and I liked it. It was about medium-ish coverage, like probably medium to full. I was expecting it to be like a little bit thinner, but I'm kind of glad that it's not, just because I typically blend out my foundation with a beauty sponge, and it didn't like soak up all the product, so that was nice. And then for concealer, I'm going to use this Makeup Revolution one. This is kind of like their dupe for the Shape Tape, which I would say, like, of the affordable concealers out there, this one's probably the most similar to it. It's not as full coverage, but it will definitely get the job done, especially if you're on a budget or if you just don't want to spend the money on the Tarte Shape Tape one. And I'm using the shade C7, which is really good for my self-tan. They have a bunch of shades for this concealer, so I'm sure if you're like looking for it, you can probably find a good shade for your skin tone. And to set my concealer, I'm going to use the Peach Perfect Powder from Too Faced. I did recently go and pick this up from Sephora, and I have really liked it. It's really great if you have oily skin, and just because it mattifies really well. It's similar to the Born This Way powder from Too Faced, but like I said, it is more mattifying, so I'd say if you're looking for a good mattifying powder for like your T-zone, I would definitely look into this one, just because it is really good. And to set the rest of my face, I'm just going to use, I believe I used just the Maybelline Fit Me powder. It can be really any powder to set the face. Like I said, anything kind of works, just something to set down your foundation so that it's not tacky before you go with like bronzer and blush. For bronzer, I'm going to use this L'Oreal True Match Illumi bronzer in the shade Light. This one is a pretty close dupe for NARS Laguna bronzer. NARS Laguna is technically, I think, a satin bronzer. It kind of comes off on the skin more as a matte, but it does have some very small flecks of like shimmer and sparkle to it. But again, it's not to the point where you can't like contour with it. And like I said, this is just one that I find that's really similar to it, just because NARS Laguna is like $40 and I don't got $40 to spend on it. But anyway, so for blush, I'm going to use this Butter Blush in the shade Vintage Rouge, I believe that's the color. This is a really pretty color for whenever I am self-tanned. Whenever I'm at my natural skin color, it is a little dark on me, but for when I am self-tanned, this color works really well. And the reason I was able to take the whole top off is because I dropped it one morning and it broke, so go me. For a highlight, I'm going to use this Maybelline Master Chrome highlight. I think it's in the shade 100. This is like a really, really pretty like metallic highlight. I typically don't highlight, but when I do want it to be poppin' because I'm either like go big or go home when it comes to highlight, I guess. But this one is really pretty. It's in like a gold color, so I can really only wear this whenever I am more tan, but whenever I do wear it, it is really, really pretty. So if you're looking for a good drugstore one, I would definitely check this one out. They do have a couple other shades out now. They have like a pinkish colored one and then like a white holographic one as well. So they're both really pretty. And today I am going to show my brow routine. I use the NYX Precision Brow Pencil in the shade Blonde. And the first thing I do is I will comb through my brow hairs, but then I will just go in and lightly stroke this through my brows. I'm really just kind of like defining the shape and then filling in some sparse areas. And I don't put a whole lot of pressure on my brows when I do use this product. The pencil is very soft, and so if you go in with more pressure, it will make them look a little more bold for my preferences now. So like I said, as you can see, I'm just lightly stroking it through my brows so that I can get that kind of like more feathery brow look. Then, whenever I'm done filling them in, I'm going to go in with this Ulta brow tint in the shade Light. It's kind of an ashy taupe color, and this is also kind of similar to Gimme Brow with its like brush head and everything. It doesn't last as well, but it definitely gets the job done. So I will just lightly brush that through my brow hairs. Then after I do that, my brows are done. They're super quick and easy, so love that about both those products. To prep my lashes, I'm going to use this Stila one and then pop on these Eylure lashes. Then to set the face and put on my lip products, I'm going to use the Make It Last setting spray and then also the matte liquid lipstick from Milani in the shade 10 Adorable with NYX Butter Gloss and Tiramisu on top. So once you're done with that, this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!